Next up, we have a special announcement before the lightning talks and all that start. Avital Oliver, one of our core devs, has a special announcement for all of you. Yeah.
I want to talk about Spark today, Meteor's live page updating engine. It's great. You sometimes get errors like these. I'm sure everyone here has tried it and loves it. And once in a while, it's just a surprise. You need surprises in life. For the past almost year now, we've been working on a replacement for Spark. It's a totally new system. We're getting rid of Spark. It's now the old live page updating system, replacing it with Blaze. We used to call this Meteor UI. Maybe there will still be something called Meteor UI. Internal code name is Shark. That's the branch on GitHub that it's built on. And it's ready. So let me just release it real quick, if I can.
Embiggen.
What? Embiggen. What's flux? Quit flux. Now you're all awake, right? The question was, is it really, really ready? The answer is yes. We want to improve some of the error messages, but yes, it's ready. It's done. So while it's publishing the release, let's keynote. OK. So what are the benefits of Blaze compared to what we had before Spark? It's easier to use. There's no isolate, constant, or preserve directives that a lot of people struggle with. The rendered callback only fires once. It's a simpler way to understand the system. It works better with external modifications to the DOM, like jQuery plugins. We have a sample somewhere on YouTube that shows how you have a reorderable list using jQuery UI sortable, and you basically integrate it in the simplest way possible, and it just works. That's not going to be true for every single form of external modification, but a lot of them will just work. Native SVG support. So a lot of people use something like D3 to create visualizations, but turns out SVG is a fairly simple language, and if you could just write SVG that updates dynamically, you can create animated bar charts or visualizations. And we have another sample online you can find with an animated clock written in something like 20 lines of SVG template in Meteor. It's very simple. It's just more predictable behavior. Blaze knows to only update the parts of the DOM that have changed. So you can reason about what's actually happening, whereas Spark, what we had before, re-rendered your templates and then did this diffing that was kind of hard to reason about and was very confusing at times. And due to the way it's built, we only applied the minimal DOM operations necessary. What we had before, Spark read a lot of DOM every time you render a template, and that causes a page layout, and that means it's slower. What we have now is basically, in the limit, the fastest possible rendering engine. A little bit about under the hood. It's a totally new system. Everything is like rebuilt from scratch. One relevant example is that now simple templates get compiled into a domain-specific language we have in JavaScript that we call HTML.js. So this handlebars template renders into this code, which basically tells Blaze what parts are static and what parts can be updated dynamically. And then when it renders, it keeps track of those dependencies automatically and updates them when the data changes. One of the interesting consequences of this is that you can have any other templating language. It's not just handlebars. You can imagine some fake templating language that I invented here that would compile to exactly the same HTML.js code. And so now, in order to build some additional templating systems, all you have to do is build a parser that compiles that language into our HTML.js code. And in fact, somebody actually already built a Jade plugin. They didn't talk with us. They just announced it one day. If you go to Atmosphere and look for a package named Jade, not Jade-something or something-Jade, just Jade, it works. It doesn't support all the features of Jade yet, but he's working on it. And you should just try it out. The cool thing is people have tried to do this with Spark many times and failed. With Blaze, somebody just did it, and it works. Blaze is only the first step of additional projects we want to do to improve the Meteor UI story. There's a lot of features that everybody wants, like animation, reusable components, per template reactive state, forms, two-way data binding, inline expressions, server-side rendering. All these things that we've talked about for a long time are now easy. You can just build them. What we had before, sorry, when I meant we are now set up to build these features. You could also try. But what we had before was just basically not a good foundation to build these things. Upgrading your app to Blaze is easy. Most APIs have not changed. We spent a lot of energy to try to do that. A future version might change some APIs to make things more performant or easier to use. But this version is supposed to be as simple of a transition as possible. Let's see how that works. Now that Blaze-rc0 is released, I can go to bigger? OK. So I'm now on just regular Meteor. This isn't Blaze-rc0. I'm going to create an app that is the parties example. Sorry, let's kill the old one. OK. All right, so this is the example parties app. Just real quick, I'll create a user. Right, OK, this is the old app. Now, I'm going to go into that same directory and run meteor update -- version Blaze-rc0. Release, thank you. OK, updated to Blaze-rc0. Let's run it now. Oh, it's already running. OK. Oh, restart Meteor to test the use in your release. OK. Let's see what happens. Oh, shit, it failed. Okay. What is it? Use greater than login button instead of login buttons. OK, that sounds pretty simple. OK, what do we have here? Login buttons. OK, let's do this. Oh, wait, that was cool. OK. Wait, does it work? Oh, interesting. Wow, that was pretty cool. Wait, I got another thing here. What's it? Constant is now unnecessary and deprecated. Oh, you're right. Let's just get rid of it. I hated constant. I never understood how it works. Oh, that's it. Well, not bad. Oh, why bother? It's awesome. Most of your apps will not have to be ported almost at all. If you do fancy things, if you have block helpers that return HTML snippets and you want those to still be reactive, you're going to have to update them to be templates. And we actually have instructions, and there's a link at the end to exactly what you need to do to port some of the more advanced uses of our APIs and apps or packages. Use it now. This is the time. 080 is just around the corner. It's going to have Blaze. Going forward, Spark will be gone. Now is the time to port it, use it in your apps and your packages. Some packages might not work because they need to be ported, like forms packages, for example. Apply pressure on the authors of these packages. Make them fix them quickly. I know almost everybody uses Iron Router. I've not tried this, but I asked Chris Mather what's the status. He says the Blaze integration branch on Iron Router, if you also add an additional package called Blaze Layout, it should work. And I know at least one example of somebody today who did that. So it is not false, and maybe there's some caveats. I don't know. Try it out. If there are problems, talk with the authors of Iron Router. So short story, use it now. This is the wiki page to how to use it. If you're trying it out and you have issues, talk with us on Meteor Talk. There might be bugs. We've fleshed out a lot of them. People have been using this for several months now in preview releases. They reported many issues. We've got great feedback, and we worked on those. So it works. And if there's some problems, they're going to be minor ones. One more thing, you want to use it outside of Meteor. A lot of people talk about Meteor being monolithic. We're trying to break that perception. We're working on packaging Blaze as a standalone component that you can use with your existing web app if it's an old Ruby on Rails or Java app or whatever it is you want. One more thing before I forget, let me just send out this email. Okay, cool. We just released Blaze-rc0. And that's it. Questions? Yes?
How much could you benefit of using Blaze outside of a Meteor application?
How much can you benefit from using Blaze outside of a Meteor application?
Or what would you have to sacrifice if you weren't using Meteor?
If you weren't using, well, one of the main things you cannot get without Meteor is latency compensation, which is that any action you take gets enacted on the client immediately without waiting for a server round trip. That's part of the deep integration technology that Meteor supplies. So you can use Blaze with your own REST endpoints and do AJAX calls, but it'll still feel like an old, slow web app where you take an action, you have to wait to see the update.
That's still worthwhile, you'd say?
I mean, I'd say if your options are incremental improvement on an existing app, it would be better to use Blaze than to continue using whatever technology is out there. And maybe that's a stepping stone towards transitioning the whole project to Meteor. More questions? No? Yes?
What are the rules now when created, destroyed, and rendered fire?
Yeah, the question was, what are the rules as when the template lifecycle callbacks created, rendered, and destroyed get called? The rule is created is called before it's rendered so that you can set up any state needed by helpers or other parts of the process. Then rendered is called once when it's on the DOM, not again. And then destroyed is called once when it's removed from the DOM. Yes?
I heard a rumor that data contexts aren't passed down to inlines that are included templates. Is that true?
The question is, I heard a rumor that data contexts aren't passed down
To templates that are included in a larger template. So if you have...
The data context rules have not changed, really. I'm not sure what you mean.
Good.
Yes?
I would like to ask a follow-up question on the rendered callback loop.
Uh-huh.
I would like to, at the moment, if anything on the template changes, that callback will get triggered. Is there any equivalent loop that you can now use that if anything has changed on your template, that will get called?
Yeah, the question is, the old rendered callback may have been useful sometimes if you want to act on any change within the boundaries of the template. And is there a replacement for that? The short answer is there's no direct replacement. If you want to depend on specific values changing, you could set up your own deps.autorun for those values. The general way it worked before when any change in template fired the same callback was almost always confusing. So I'm curious to hear from you later if that works out for you, just setting up the autorun around the specific values that you need changed and then acting on those directly. Yeah.
All right.
So, Slava?
I've heard a rumor that you cannot access the data context of the parent template.
The
I don't know,
rumor?
it's a rumor.
The rumor is that you can't access the data context of a parent template
With dot dot.
with dot dot. That's false. You can do dot dot. Okay. What you can't do, which you could not do before, is access that context from a helper if you don't pass dot dot as an argument, or from an event handler. That was not true before. That is not true now. Was true before. That is true now, and that will be fixed with some later improvement that will also entail an API change. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.